Well, good afternoon and welcome to part 2 of knots. And today we're going to look at a reef knot, a sheep bend and a bowline. A reef knot, sometimes by the Americans called a square knot, although in Britain we do have another knot which is called a square knot. The reef knot was used to shorten sails so that there was less power in a ship. And I'll show you why they use that knot in a moment. The reef knot only works if the two pieces of rope are the same thickness. There are two ways of tying it. One, as we've got here, make a bight in the end of one of them, take the working end of this, bring it up through the bight, round the back of both parts of the brown rope and push it back down where it came out of. And you can now see that you've got two bights intertwined like that. If I pull them tight, there is a reef knot, and that will hold because the two ropes are the same thickness. And one of the ways in which it was loosened was they would just pull on one of them, the knot would change shape and be much easier to undo, and sometimes it would even undo itself. It's not a very reliable knot. Another way of tying it is to take the two working ends and we go left over right and under, right over left and under, and we get the same effect. I'll do that again. Cross them over, left over right and under, right over left and under, and we have the same two loops interlocking. Not a safe knot to use, and in fact I would avoid using it. Here we have two ropes that are not the same thickness. Let's try tying a reef knot in those. We make our loop or our bight, we take the working end of the other, it comes underneath, goes round the back and goes back down where it came from, and we have a very clear reef knot. And if I pull on one of them, it just comes undone. If you have knots of two different thicknesses, the sheep bend is the one to use. We start the same, we come up, we go round the back, but instead of going back down there, we come round and underneath this one, so it crosses at the top, slightly lopsided. Now if I pull on that and pull tight, and I can tidy it up, always tidy knots up. There we go, now pull tight on that, and it is not going anywhere. Now again, this is a sailing knot that sailors used to deal with sails. Here I have a sheet, a ground sheet, and the loops come off the corner. Or a rope could have come off a corner of a sail. We make the loop. There's our loop. We take the other rope, we bring it up, round the back, difficult controlling the sheet, put it underneath that one, pull it tight, and then when we pull on the two together, we get a very effective join, and that is not coming apart. There is another variation on this, that instead of putting the working end through, there, we bring it back, we double it over into a bight and just put the loop back through, and there we have a loop on it. Now, what's the advantage of that? Well, as I pull on there, it's not going anywhere, but if I pull on this, it's quick release. I'll show you how to do that again, but I'm not going to do it on the sheet. I'll do it on this where it's easier to see. Sheep bend then, up, under, behind both, and crosses over both and under the loop. There's the sheep bend. And instead of putting that tail or that working end through there, I put a bite in it, I push the bite through, and I pull it tight. And there it is. And it's not going anywhere until I pull on that, which undoes the knot. Another use of the sheep bend is attaching a guy line to a loop on a tent or a tarp. Here we have a loop. There's our loop. Here's our guy line, comes up, round the back, and you can do a quick release one just by putting the knot in there. And that's a sheep bend. And you pull that and it comes undone. Show you that again. There's my loop, up, round the back of both, and pass it across the front of that one. I'm not going to put the quick release in this time so you can probably see it a little more clearly. There it is. And there I've attached a guy line to a tent. Now we come to the bowline. The bowline produces a closed non-slip loop, which means it's very useful for hanging over something, wrapping round, tying tight without it moving and tightening on you. I'm going to use this nice thick rope here. You take the working end, pull it down towards yourself and make a loop, not a bite, a loop. A loop is where the rope crosses over itself. And here we have the working end. Imagine this is a rabbit hole and this is a tree. And this is the rabbit. The rabbit comes out of the hole, round the tree, back down the hole. And then we pull it tight. And there's my loop, which if it was the top of a tent pole, I could put that over there. If I had a climbing situation where a carabiner, I could put it into the clip like that, and it would hold without slipping. Well, I want you to imagine that I'm standing on a cliff and somebody's thrown a rope down to me. I'm using my left hand, which is currently holding the standing end of the rope, to hold onto the cliff. The rope has come down to me. I've got one hand free. This is the working end of the rope. And so what I need to do is I need to put it over my back and bring it round the front. I then pass my hand over that rope, passing my hand up through, passing the rope round the back of there, and then wriggling my hand through and pulling tight. And there we have a bowline, which can be used to lift me. Finally, I thought it might be useful to know how to hank a length of rope. So, take your hand, in my case I'm left-handed, remember, lay the rope between your little finger and your thumb, wrap it round your little finger, bring it up your thumb, and then all we need to do is figure of 8 that all the way down the rope until I'm left with a good length, 50 centimetres say, of rope, perhaps a little longer, but that much. We then take it off my finger and thumb, take this end, and I wrap it round and round, and I neatly wrap it round, almost as if what's called whipping that. And then when you've got a little bit left, put a bite and put it up through the last turn and pull that through. Now we've got a tail here, we've got a tail here, and if I want to undo that, I take hold of my hank, I pull that, off it comes, and there's my rope without any knots in. Nice and quick release. Thanks for watching. see you again for part 3 sometime soon.